Is your house big enough to foster? Let's talk about it. Hello, my name is Lauren, and this channel is called Lauren Fosters, where we talk about all things foster care and adoption related. I'm Lauren, and I'm former foster youth. I aged out of the foster care system after my senior year of high school. I'm also a mom to 10 awesome kids, 6 of whom are adopted out of the foster care system, and I'm a military wife, so I throw that in there from time to time. This video in particular is a question I have heard several times, and it's got a pretty simple answer. And the question is my house big enough for me to foster? And the answer is, it depends. I know, that's so like Lauren, every time we come here for an answer and you say it depends, and that's because it does. Being military, we have fostered in 3 states, and I don't bring that up for any other reason than just to say I have seen it happen so many ways in so many different places. For example, one of the states we lived in, they went on amount of bedrooms. So they only allowed a certain amount of children in each bedroom. So you had to have the amount of bedrooms you needed for those children. Now there were some loopholes in that particular state. They did allow children under a certain age, I want to say it was 15 months, to stay in the parents' room in a crib. But that's going to vary because maybe they don't have that rule or that loophole, and it's just solely off the number of bedrooms you have. Now, we've also lived in another state where everything was done by square footage. That means if you have a bedroom that is the size of a small apartment, you might be able to put 4 people in that bedroom. And I know that sounds crazy, but in 2 of the homes we've lived in now, it almost seems like they were building a small apartment somewhere in the home. So while we haven't had many bedrooms, we've had huge bedrooms, or at least one massive bedroom. And so when it comes down to state law, by square footage, we were allowed to have the amount of children we were able to have in those moments. That's how they decided how many kids were allowed in our homes. That's something they'll do in the licensing process, is determine how many children you would be allowed to have dependent on either how many bedrooms you have, or how many children are already in your home, or how big the house is, so how much square footage per bedroom or the house as a whole has. Some of the agencies may even take a little bit of leeway in that they may say, even though in this area we say that this amount of square footage might be good for 6 children, our agency doesn't encourage maxing out that number. So maybe we would encourage less children in your home. So don't be surprised if your agency takes some leeway on that as well. But these are all questions you could be asking your agency. Don't be afraid to call agencies. I try to encourage that in a lot of videos. Shop around, call around, talk to agencies. If you have questions like, hey, can I be a foster parent with this stipulation and that stipulation, say, can I be a foster parent? I have 2 kids already. We have a 3-bedroom home. My children are 1 boy and 1 girl. What would that look like for us? These are their ages. What would that look like if we were to get licensed for this particular age group? Ask those questions. Which reminds me, that's another way they may determine how many children you're allowed in your home, or if you can foster at all, if you have the adequate room at all, might be going off of what gender the children already are in your home. So for example, if you have a 3-bedroom home and you have 2 girls and you're willing to maybe team them up in one room and take boys in the other room, that may work out just fine. Or if you have, say, 1 boy and 1 girl and there's enough square footage, or maybe the law or the rules allow there to be 2 children per bedroom, they may say, well, then we can place you with 1 boy and 1 girl, and that would be your max. I have met people, however, who say, I have a 2-bedroom situation and I already have like 2 or 3 kids, then yeah, it might not be your season to foster. But only the agencies in your area can tell you that for sure. Being a foster parent doesn't mean you have to be wealthy with this gigantic mansion of a house. Once again, we have 10 kids, and so when I meet people that go, gosh, what kind of house size could you even have to accommodate for that? And truth be told, it's not that we have a ton of bedrooms. Once again, like in the house we are currently, once again, we're military. We move a lot, so the scenario changes a lot. But in this house, and actually in our last house as well, we had at least one of our bedrooms that was just apartment size, just like a little small studio, at least that size. So, once you add some bunk beds in there, you got tons and tons of space for kids. And it was actually a funny story. I just met my neighbor the other day, and we just moved here. We just PCS here, so if you're military, you know what that's all about. But if you're not, it means my husband just got restationed somewhere new, and now we're there. And I just met one of the neighbors, and she said, I knew the people who lived here before you. How are you fitting 10 kids in there? And truth be told, we just get creative sometimes. But our kids have plenty of room. We do bunk beds. My kids all have roommates, and they still have plenty of room to spread out. It also helps if you have a house that like has big living areas, so people can kind of roam around and get out of each other's faces. But all that to say, don't just assume that your house size needs to be some big mansion of a place to support that. Awesome if you have that. If you don't count yourself out, because you may have plenty of what you need for your particular area. So ask your agencies, see what the local rules are, and see if you fall into those guidelines, and you may be great. So hopefully that answers your question. Is your house big enough to foster? And I will see you next time. All right, bye.